Hey everybody, it's Ryan McAllister from the Grumpy Guys Show. Tonight's episode is episode number 11, Don't Threaten Me. Tonight we talk about a whole lot of whining, which includes the environment, motorsports, and politicians. So that should be fun.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Grumpy Guys Show. I'm Derek McAllister.
I'm Ryan McAllister.
We got a show where we might not be interrupted by thunderstorms for a change.
Wow.
Seems to be something different happening in New York. Usually that's like down south where every day they forecast thunderstorms, but
Yep.
now we're getting that. And of course they say, oh, it's because of all the stuff going on over in the West Coast. Well, okay, I believe that to a point, but there's got to be a limit to it.
The past couple of days it's been really humid.
Yeah, it has been pretty humid too. But, well, let's dive right in. What do you say?
Sure.
We're going to start out talking about a commercial that I saw.
What was it about?
It was an advertisement with all kinds of young kids. And when I say young kids, I'm talking not even teenagers.
Uh-huh.
And they're going through and they're threatening. The world's warming. Do something about it.
Oh, I've seen that one.
You know, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, what the heck? You know, and then they have, I'm 6. The world's going to be different for me. Do something about it.
The world's different for everybody.
So,
For
okay,
every generation.
I get
Quit your complaining.
that there's global warming going on. I got that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. These kids that are sitting there threatening everybody with this commercial, they're saying, do something about this, as if, you know, nobody's ever done anything about it.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that those kids are the ones that are going on these huge vacations all over the place with their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And by these huge vacations, I'm talking, they're flying across the country.
Yeah.
Flying across the country.
Exactly.
They're not taking a bicycle.
Nope.
They're not riding in some kind of electric vehicle, which, yeah, we've talked about that. There's limits on that, too. But they're not doing anything like
We've
that.
beaten that dead horse.
Well, I don't think we've beaten it dead. But we're not going to talk about it this time. So, you know, you got these kids, they're doing all this stuff. And on top of that, I guarantee that these kids are also constantly in air conditioning. What's the problem with air conditioning?
It's powered by fossil fuels.
No, not necessarily. See, here's the thing.
It's powered by electricity.
It's powered by electricity. Of course, you know, in theory, in the United States, there's...
It's mostly powered by, like, coal.
Yeah, in the United States, most electricity, it's still like 75%, is produced by burning of fossil fuels of some sort.
Yeah.
But that's not where the real issue is.
What's the real issue, then?
What air conditioning does is it takes heat from one source and moves it to another place.
Yeah.
So it's taking the heat out of a building and putting it out in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, what happens?
What?
You produce heat.
Ah.
So, you know, that's all there is to it. You've got electric motors. You've got an electric motor pumping the coolant around. You've got an electric motor that's actually driving the fan. You've got an electric motor that's actually cooling the coolant.
Yeah.
You got all this stuff happening. Electric motors run hot.
They do.
So everybody's running air conditioning. You know, I mean, there's been studies done where, you know, they've talked to visitors from foreign countries in the United States, and one of the studies said, what's the biggest thing that you find odd about America?
Air conditioning.
Exactly. The overall the major response was Americans' fascination with air conditioning. Mm-hmm. Everything is air conditioned. Just about, you know, most houses nowadays have central air. If they don't have central air, they've got 3 or 4 air conditioners spread throughout the house.
Mm-hmm.
Every car is now sold with air conditioning.
As standard.
Yeah. And I get that, you're using the air conditioning to dry the air in the car so that it clears the windows better, but air conditioning. Everything has air conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids, they're not even thinking of that. But go beyond that. Look at how fascinated everybody is. Everyone with the internet.
Yeah.
And cloud storage and cloud-based products. Guess what?
What?
That generates a lot of heat.
Really?
Yes. Why do you think, in a laptop or in a desktop, why do you think there's big fans that are blowing air constantly? Because it gets hot. Imagine having something that's 10 to 15 times as much heat. You got to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one small cloud-based server. That's not these massive servers that you get from places like Google or Amazon or Apple, Microsoft. Those places are humongous.
They are.
So, here these kids are talking, do something. Well, okay. We can do something, but it means that you're going back to what you would call the Stone Ages, because you got to do things to entertain yourself besides sit in front of a computer and stare at it. You've got to actually get up, go outside, and do something. But, we don't want to talk about that, because that's not saving the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's just ridiculous. And then they put these commercials together where they're threatening. Don't threaten me. That's just insane. Don't threaten me, because, you're not doing anything. You're probably not going to do anything. You're probably actually making the situation worse. But, hey, what do I know?
Plus, I'm pretty sure those kids don't even know everything about
and that's
that
it.
issue. And they don't really care either.
That's it. They haven't, they're one-sided because it's what their parents have told them.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't actually experienced anything. And if it's not what their parents told them, it's what they were taught in school. They weren't taught both sides of the story. They weren't taught the whole story.
Yeah.
There's more to it than just humans causing problems. Before humans were around, the earth heated up, the earth cooled. The earth heated, and it cooled. It's a cycle. The earth has been warming since the last ice age. Anybody who wants to argue with me would need to go back in time and prove me wrong. Because they can't go back in time. But not only
That's
that...
science fiction.
Yeah, but not only can they not go back in time to try and prove me wrong, it's actual science that the earth has been warming ever since the last ice age.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. You can't argue with it.
But humans have been making it faster.
There's the potential.
Yeah, I kind of
But
believe
again,
that.
without going back in time and taking humans out of the picture, you can't prove it.
Yep.
But at the same time, you can't prove that we aren't making it. You can't prove the other way.
Yep.
So there's a double-sided coin there, yes. But, you can't go around threatening people. It's just not the way to do things.
I agree.
And of course, this is all by the government.
Yeah.
It's not...
And I don't like it when somebody uses children to push some sort of agenda.
Yeah, that's it exactly. They're using kids and pulling at heartstrings to push something, and you know what? Somebody is trying to make a difference, but as we've discussed before, there's limits on how much of a difference you can make.
Mm-hmm.
As humans develop more technology requires more things that aren't so great for the environment.
Yeah.
Sorry, but all those battery-powered cars, all the stuff from there is coming from mining. That's all there is to it. Is mining good for the earth? Nope. And I'm not even, that's not even talking about what some people push as far as, you got to use all these diesel engines to do all this mining and everything. That'll go away. Sooner or later, mining will be done by electric. I get that.
Yep.
But the problem is you're still mining. You're still digging down into the earth, creating these huge holes that were not there, that are not natural.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening there?
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, we need to move off of that one.
So what's next?
So what's next? You tell me what's next. Looks to me like it's something that you brought in here.
Oh, that's my one topic for the week.
Yeah, just one. You really got to get better at this.
I know.
So what do you got?
So there was an article that I found. I can't remember where it was, but saying that potentially NASCAR's next TV deal could include races that are exclusively on Peacock Premium or whatever other streaming service that you have to pay for.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what we had talked about before.
And also, IndyCar announced their new TV deal, which is good because they got 13 races on network TV. But 2 races are, again, locked behind a paywall on Peacock Premium.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with the Thursday night football and the Monday, and not so much the Monday night football, because Monday night football, one of the biggest things with it is it was on ABC,
network television,
broadcast television. Now, because viewership dropped through the floor,
mm-hmm.
they moved it to ESPN. And why did they do
Cable.
that? They did that because ESPN paid more.
Yep.
And that was before ABC bought them. So now
only is ESPN
matter.
paying a lot for broadcasting rights.
Yeah. But that's exactly what's happening with NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee that Peacock is paying premium money just to be able to have those exclusive rights.
Well, it's not official. It's just a rumor, but it's possible.
It's probable. I mean, whether it happens this year or next year or the year after that, it's going to end up happening.
The TV deal ends in 2024, so
it'll end up happening by then, I'm sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And what it's going to end up being is more than likely they're going to get it so that it's more towards the end of the season when, you're talking about the playoffs and
they're
the
up against football, which they will lose against football.
Well, maybe not.
I think
you
the
still
only
have the
sport
diehard fans that are going to watch that over football.
Yeah, true.
Because the problem with football is it's a lot more whining. A lot more people that think they're super special and think they're some kind of hero because they play a kid's game and get paid millions of dollars a year for it. And I mean, NASCAR, you don't have quite that same level. I mean, yeah, you get some people like Kyle Busch. He used to whine a lot. I'm thinking more along the lines of Kyle Busch because he used to whine. Every time he didn't win, somebody did something to him.
Yeah, or the car sucked.
Yeah, it was never his fault, even though, NASCAR is all about the driver.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the driver's skill.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you didn't win.
We have the 40 best drivers in the world.
Yeah, you didn't win. The sport's about the driver, but somebody did something to you, and your car sucked. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. You have the 40 best drivers in the world, and only one of them is from outside the United States. Explain that to me.
Yeah. You have the 40 best people who can drive around in a circle. That's what it comes down to. It's 40. Mm-hmm. It's 40 people who just don't get dizzy.
That's what all oval racing is about.
Well, yeah. How many times can you go in a circle? Make the circle smaller so there's literally just a circle. See how many of them spin off.
The G-forces with that would actually make drivers dizzy.
Yeah, well, isn't there one track that they actually it was so fast and the banking was so strong. This might have been back before you were even interested, but they actually, I think that's why they started restrictor plates, because the banking was so strong that drivers could potentially pass out.
Actually, it was because restrictor plates came around because the drivers were going fast, that if they turned around backwards, they'd go flying. And they ripped up the fence. The drivers passing out, that was an IndyCar thing at a much smaller track. And
No, I thought it was at some track in Texas.
yeah, it was Texas. They canceled the race because of fears that the cars were going so fast and the drivers were passing out, and that would cause a whole bunch of crashes.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that it was NASCAR that had the issue, but who the hell knows?
And then about a decade after that happened, the same thing happened at Las Vegas, and well, they didn't cancel that race, and the driver died. IndyCar learned their lesson after that.
Well, they supposedly did.
Open wheel racing, it's so much easier to go flying on an oval. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Indy cars racing on high bank tracks as far as ovals go.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in IndyCar that I just don't get.
Other than
that whole push-to-pass bull crap. Oh, you got so many push-to-passes.
Yes.
What the hell's with
Thank
that?
you.
That's just stupid.
Formula One has their own version of that called the drag reduction system.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Well, if you didn't make the car so drag dependent, you wouldn't need it. And the cars would be able to pass each other. There's so much wrong with Formula One.
There's so much wrong with racing. And, that's the other thing. Right back to the first topic.
Mostly Formula One.
You get all these kids. They're probably the same ones that are out there cheering for the drivers. What are we talking about when we're talking about wasting fuel and gas? And, geez, we're talking about cars driving around in a circle.
Some of them probably don't even know what NASCAR even is.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Because NASCAR's been on a damn decline since like 2005.
Well, that's because they got a bunch of whiners for a while. And then suddenly they grew up and realized, oh, maybe it isn't the car that sucks. Maybe it's me.
Or perhaps Kyle Busch stopped whining because, I don't know, he won championships.
Yeah, I doubt that. He grew up and realized, all right, maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe I have a part of that.
True. Joey Logano still whines, and he's got a championship.
Yeah, that's the whole problem. They're making so much money that every little thing they whine.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get their way, they whine. And it's, like I said, it's much worse in football, basketball, baseball.
Hell, it's much worse in Formula One.
Well, yeah, because they're all snooty to begin with.
Yeah. Just a light little tap. Oh, he raced me too hard. That's the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton that says that.
Yeah, well. So, what else do we got here?
What else?
Oh, here's a great one.
Ooh.
Shifting cost from the taxpayers to business.
Huh.
So this is the latest ad push by the Democrats.
Of course.
We're going to shift the cost from the taxpayers to the business. Okay. Sounds like a great idea.
I thought the Republicans were the business party, and the Democrats, they hate big business. They ought to tear them all down.
That's it. It's the Democrats that are saying, we got to make these big businesses pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Republicans saying that. It's the Democrats saying, we got to make these big businesses pay for all this stuff instead of the taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the problem with it. How many of those businesses do you think are just going to say, oh, okay, here's money?
0.
What are they going to do?
That's a good question.
They're going to raise prices.
Again.
Exactly. You can't just take money from businesses. Businesses are going to make their profits, period.
Mm-hmm.
It may take them a couple of years to get back to the same profit margin, but they're going to get there.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it by raising prices. And what does that do? Oh, it increases the cost of living. So what's that mean? That means that suddenly those people making minimum wage aren't making as much money
as they used to.
Yeah, they don't have the spare money they used to have. So then, we got to raise the minimum wage again. Okay, so you raise the minimum wage and they're good for a year, but then businesses raise prices again.
It's just a cycle.
The only way that you can fix this is to get rid of the loopholes that these businesses use. That's all there is to it. You got to get rid of the loopholes. And until you get rid of the loopholes, it's going to continue like this.
Politicians don't really care. They'll never get rid of the loopholes.
They'll never get rid of the loopholes. You're right. You know why? Because those loopholes allow businesses to give them money.
Exactly.
And that's how they get reelected. That's how they go from starting out worth $500,000
to being millionaires.
To being multimillionaires after 5 years in office.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. But you can't tell anybody that, they don't want to listen to you. But this goes right into another topic, something that I just saw probably about 20 minutes ago.
What is it?
On the news, they were talking about these people. They were talking about how they can fix the shortage of nurses in nursing homes.
There's a shortage?
Yeah, there's a shortage all over the place, especially in healthcare, but healthcare and food service, there's huge shortages.
Yeah.
So this person speaking to, I think it was the state, might have been the state Senate.
Mm-hmm.
They said, you just raised wages for food service workers, for fast food workers. You didn't raise them for nurses. Wait a minute. There's something really wrong with that because
there's something fishy.
They didn't raise the minimum wage for McDonald's.
Nope.
They raised the minimum wage for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the problem with raising minimum wage. You raise that. So, say you get a job starting minimum wage now.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what it is. But let's go with $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Just for easy math. So you work hard and you get raises for 2 years. Now you're up to $16 an hour.
Wow.
Hey, you're doing great. I mean, actually, if you were to get that much of a raise in 2 years, that'd actually be pretty good. But, so you're up to $16 an hour. So now, this government being as brilliant as they are, they say, cost of living, $15 an hour minimum wage just isn't good enough. We've got to raise it. So we're going to raise it up to $16 an hour. So now everybody who is not worked as hard as you
gets the same amount.
Is now getting paid as much as you because it's not you need to increase everybody's wage by $1 an hour. No. We're making the minimum wage $16 an hour. So those people who have worked their tails off to get that extra $1 an hour over that 2-year span, while somebody who slacked off barely keeping their job has never gotten a raise, suddenly they're making as much.
Mm-hmm.
How is that fair? How is that right? It's not. It's not right at all, and it's not fair. But that's the problem with what these people were saying about the nurses. Nursing jobs make more than minimum wage.
Yeah.
Therefore, when you raise minimum wage, it doesn't affect them. But here's the other piece of it. Most nurses are part of a union contract. So the only way their wage is going to change is if that contract is renegotiated.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the government. All the government can do is put a minimum wage. As long as the wage that you're being paid is higher than minimum wage, your employer has no obligation to raise your wages.
Mm-hmm.
So why would they?
That's a good question.
They won't. And they won't because
there's no reason to.
There's no reason. Why take a hit on your profits, on your bottom line, if there's no reason to? There's no reason.
No point.
Exactly. Absolutely, positively no point. So they won't do it. And that's what these people just don't get. You know, I understand. Nurses, they work hard.
They do.
Don't get me wrong. I know they work hard. I've seen, you know, I used to work at a nursing home facility.
Really?
Yes. You know, I worked there. They work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in nursing homes, they deal with a lot of crap.
Uh-huh.
But it's up to them to speak with their union to negotiate rates. The state can't go to the union and say, hey, you've got to raise rates. No, it doesn't work like that. They can't go to a nursing home company and say, hey, you got to raise rates.
You gotta raise your...
Doesn't work like that. We have a contract. Their contracted rates are higher than minimum wage. We don't have to do a thing.
Mm-hmm. And they won't do a thing.
And they won't, because they don't have to. Until it comes time to negotiate with the union, then they can negotiate and always do wage increases.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it. And that's how it works. But, you know, you get these people, they just want to make themselves popular and get on TV and, look, I'm standing up for the little guy. No, you're just standing up for yourself. You're being an idiot. You're being selfish.
You don't really care about the little guy.
No, you don't care about the little guy because you're making $60 an hour. So, you know, you're making $60 an hour and you're out there, you're touting stuff and you're saying, oh, all this stuff needs to happen. Well,
nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's going to happen. But not only that, if something were to happen, guess what else is going to happen?
What?
They're going to raise the rates on these nurses, or on these people that are in nursing homes, the residents. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or because most of those rates are tied to government funding, these places are going to go bankrupt. And then what happens? Well, then the nurses are completely out of a job.
And the unemployment rate
depending on how the bankruptcy goes, but you know,
depending on whether it's Chapter 11 or Chapter 7.
Yeah, I mean, if it's bankruptcy to the point where they sell off all their assets to some other company, the other company is going to come in and say,
we don't need you.
We don't need to honor your contract, so these are the rates you're going to work for under our contract with our union. Could be more, could be less. But
and they're going to lay off just about everybody.
Well, they're not necessarily going to lay them off, but they might make them reapply for their job. Which, you know, that's a common practice as well. But anyway, you know, so that just bugged me. You raised it for fast food workers, but you didn't raise it for nurses. Didn't raise it for me either. I'm a professional, so, you know.
So you don't care?
It's not so much that I don't care. I mean,
it's just not that important.
Yeah, it's not my focus, you know. My focus is to make sure that I'm not working for minimum wage. Do what I can to make sure that I'm not.
Yeah.
Do what I can to make sure that I'm well above that so that, you know, some Joe Schmo who hardly does anything and barely keeps a job isn't going to be making as much money as me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I did that through education, but some people do that through hard work that's noticed. Mm-hmm. You know, there's trades out there that you get a good electrician and they do the job right, they do it well, and they deserve what they get paid.
Good money.
But, you know, you get the jerks out there that just try to rip people off,
and there are plenty of those.
Yeah, there are. But, you know, people like that, they make minimum wage. And then they complain because they make minimum wage. But anyway, folks, hope you enjoyed this episode. I think we're pretty much done. We've made it close to our our goal of 30 minutes, so hopefully it was good for you. I certainly feel better.
I kind of do too.
All right, folks.
Good night.
See ya.